It's the Rhode Island Rams and the Syracuse Orange, moments away from the kickoff to the 2015 college football season here in central New York. And across upstate New York, it has been unseasonably hot this week. Temperatures near 90 today. And yes, this is the Carrier Dome, but there is no air conditioning in this building. And for the months of October through April or May, that's fine, but sometimes it gets a little warm inside this building in September.
Absolutely. It's something I've experienced as a player. I played in a place called the Dakota Dome back in South Dakota. Very similar structure. You know, they have sort of the soft top, and air tends to linger. There's air in here. It's just hot air. So as a player, you have to be extra special care to make sure you're hydrated and get in a good rotational type situation. You get in football shape by playing games, and this is the first of them.
Well, Matt, we're going to see a lot of true freshmen getting their first opportunities here, and some redshirt freshmen as well, playing in the bigger environment, bigger than a high school setting, certainly. What are the emotions some of these kids are feeling right now as Syracuse gets ready to kick off?
Well, part of what you're trying to wrangle in is to make sure that the emotion gets you focused, and then the focus makes you play correctly. So you got to be able to still do your job. So emotion only carries you far. You don't want a guy sapping himself out just because of being hyped. End of the day, still 100 yards. Got to play football.
Ryan Norton will kick off the season, a senior from Garden City, New York, and back deep to receive. Miles Holmes, third-team All-Colonial Athletic Association, who has returned to kick in his career 100 yards. So very dangerous to start things off for the Rams.
If you're going to come in and make some noise, a special teams game is a way to do it early.
And the 2015 season is underway. 1 yard deep. Holmes brings it out to the 15. Across the 20. He's got some space to the 30. He fumbled the football. It's loose. Syracuse has it at the 45. Dante Strickland, one of those true freshmen we were just talking about.
Well, I was just about to tell you how incredible of a return this was by Holmes, because he hits the hole perfectly, gets upfield. This is just an awareness issue. At that point, you have to tuck it away, high and tight. Held it a little bit low, and the ball awareness by Syracuse is exceptional. See the shot here from behind. He makes a nice read. You just got to watch the guy from behind. Hold it high and tight. Don't. You got to get that ball up. It's at 4 points of pressure. You get 2, you get 3. Game becomes a loaf of bread, and it's on the ground.
And am I not mistaken that the man who forced that fumble was the kicker himself, Ryan Norton? I think he may have been the one who got in and knocked that ball loose. Either way, Syracuse has the football first off the turnover. And a whistle before the first snap.
Play game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
Well, Matt, I would say an inauspicious beginning both ways.
Yes, and it's the first game of the season. You get the Kinks out here early, but you know, obviously Terrell Brown's had a long time to think about that first series. Get out and start with an operation error. Now you get right back on track here.
There you see the numbers after missing most of last year. Only the one passing touchdown, 4 interceptions. New offense this year with a new offensive coordinator. And on 1st and 15, Syracuse gets 7 back. George Morris with the first carry, tackled by Joe Simon. There's your offense, the backs and receivers. Keep your eyes on number 3, Irvin Phillips. He is playing the new hybrid position that has been implemented by the new OC, Tim Lester, this year.
Yeah, they call it express back at times. It's a guy we're going to see moving all over the formation, pre-snap, post-snap, little momentum, ball in his hands.
2nd and 8, pass deflected. It's intercepted. Syracuse gives it right back to Rhode Island. Miles Holmes, who just gave the football away on the opening kickoff, comes up with the interception to get it right back.
Well, what an amazing turn of events here. He makes the play. It's a tip pass. I think that's one of those little things you have to do on the road against a big opponent. When the rush doesn't come, you stop, you get your hands up. The little things by the defensive line make that play an opportunity for Holmes. He took advantage. Net 0. Back to ground 0. Holmes does a great job of getting a play back for his team.
Yeah, the senior from Daly City, California. That's in San Francisco. Is one of the real playmakers on defense for Rhode Island, along with Adam Parker, who we've talked about, and one of their safeties, Tim Wineclaw. But they are back on the sideline. The Rams have their offense on the field for the first time, and there's the new quarterback, junior from Brockton, Massachusetts, Paul Miraz. And another fumble, and it's Syracuse football. Recovered by Caden Samuels, the redshirt freshman from Ellenwood, Georgia.
Well, it's been ugly thus far, Doug. I mean, there's really no way around it. Most of these things they've had game operation issues, ball handling issues twice, tip passes at the line. That's not much more of the credit between just the quarterback exchange with the running back. He put it on his hip. It appeared that neither knew if he was hanging onto it or pulling it out. So these are the little things you try to get ironed out in those scrimmages, but there's nothing like game action, especially in an environment like this at the Carrier Dome. A little bit sloppy early on, and those are the kind of things you cannot have on the road when you're trying to come up against a bigger program here like Syracuse.
Morris, the man in motion, goes into the slot left. Here comes the jet sweep to the hybrid. And the Rams were ready. Flag down to the field as Phillips is dropped near the line of scrimmage.
Well, and that's going to be the challenge throughout this day of this defensive front of Rhode Island of not getting up the field too far. They're obviously trying to sort of tempt the defensive ends.
Flipping. Number 27 offense. 15 yards from the previous spot. Remains second down.
This Syracuse offense is designed to really test the defensive ends of the Rams to sort of invite them up the field a little bit too far to create spaces in that C and D gap. So you have to play discipline. It's tough. You're facing potentially an elite athlete in the backfield, a guy that's maybe a little better than you. But if you play your discipline, you play your responsibility, you'll be okay.
The clip called against Morris pushes Syracuse back to its own 38-yard line. Hunt stands deep in the pocket, fires over the middle, and he overshoots the intended receiver, Brisley Esteem.
Intended for number 9, Brisley Esteem, incomplete.
Well, so far, 3 turnovers and 2 penalties, and we are not even 90 seconds into the game.
4 seconds in the game, something like that, Doug, I believe.
Somebody's going to win this football game. Let's see who gets it going first. There's a look at Hunt, 6'3", 238-pound senior from Rosedale, New York. Played his high school football at Christ the King in Queens. That's in New York City. He hands it off. Morris stood up at the 43-yard line. That'll bring up 3rd down and long.
Now, the charge with new offensive coordinator Tim Lester for Syracuse was in part to simplify the offense. That was the phrase he liked to use this offseason. They want to simplify things and sort of take advantage of Hunt's just simply raw ability. And part of that is simplifying reads at the line of scrimmage, the pre-snap, the post-snap. Get it down to one read so he can really go out and do his thing. Now, when you have pre-snap penalties, you have clippings and things like that, and you put yourself behind the 8 ball.
There's a look at head coach Scott Schaefer in his 3rd year as head coach at SU. He spent 4 years before that as a defensive coordinator on the draw. Syracuse gets it back into Rhode Island territory, but it'll bring up 4th down and long.
We've seen a lot of this draw action thus far from Syracuse. Again, it's sort of a challenge for the defensive line. You want to get off the ball, you want to get in the backfield, get sacks, all those kind of negative plays, but you have to settle down at some point because Hunt has the ability to run it out of the pocket, or they'll just use that draw action and work you upfield. Standout
senior punter Riley Dixon with his first opportunity of the season. Tries to angle it. It goes out of bounds. And URI will take over at its own 12-yard line. 12:20 remaining in the first quarter. A sloppy start here at the Carrier Dome between the Rams and Orange. Early first quarter on this opening night of the college football season here in Syracuse. The Orange and the Rams scoreless. And there's the second-year head coach of Rhode, Jim Fleming. His team went 1-11 last year in his first season at URI. They are members of the Colonial Athletic Association. Meanwhile, Syracuse is a member of the ACC and has Scott Schaefer as its 3rd-year head coach. His first season, they went bowling. Last year was a struggle. You see the overall record at 10-15.
Yeah, and the charge here is on defense is to replace 8 starters. So he's in an unfamiliar situation where defense played really well for him a year ago, but now there are a lot of new faces.
They give to Harold Cooper, and he is dropped. Peyton Samuels with the tackle. Well, Cooper has blazing speed and space. He's only 5'7" on the roster, probably more 5'6", but he is a real burner. So if you don't get him early, you may not get him late.
Exactly, and if you're going to have negative plays, now you put yourself in those situations where you're behind sequence, you're behind in the down set, you can't take advantage of his ability. Now we're back to spread offense, not something that Rhode Island likes to live in. They like to establish that run early.
Well, Coach Jim Fleming told us earlier this week one of his goals for the team in this environment, in this game, was to get 2 first downs on every possession. 3rd and long. Pass deflected. Another turnover. Syracuse with it. Inside the 10 to the 5. Touchdown. Corey Winfield. The sophomore from St. Louis, Missouri returns it 25 yards for 6.
Really a lose-lose situation there for Mraz. If he leads the receiver better, the receiver gets killed. The cornerback is sitting on this quick out route, so he goes a little behind the tight and it's tipped and it's up in the air. That's a poor decision by the quarterback. Actually a poor throw as well, but really it was Nandor. Either he placed it correctly, his tight end's going to get knocked down.
And Matt, I don't think it's a surprise that one of the defenses scored first.
No, not
That's
at all.
our 4th turnover already here tonight.
Yeah, the ball has been bouncing all over the field like a pinball machine out there, though.
And both quarterbacks were picked off on their first attempts of the year. That's not good. Point after is good. 7-0. Syracuse on the board first. Cole Murphy with the PAT.
Again, we're in sort of a quick read situation here. Hits the back foot, ball comes out. Quarterback's just simply sitting on the route. You really got to walk yourself out of that read and go to another. Quarterback goes with the shot, and again, it's sort of a lose-lose situation. Part and parcel to this is getting some production on 1st and 2nd down. If Rhode Island finds themselves in negative situations, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 12, 3rd and 15 throughout the day, it's going to be tough sledding.
Well, for Winfield, he played every game last year as a freshman, but mostly on special teams. He began as a wide receiver. This now his 2nd year as a defensive back, and he is athletically as gifted as anybody in the defensive backfield.
Absolutely, and if you're in a situation, you pray that they bounce to you like that each and every time. You take them when you can get them, and you capitalize on the play. Actually had some real nice run skills there after the play as well.
Miles Holmes waits at his own 3. Backpedals to the goal line, and he'll bring it out again. This time tripped up, but he holds on to the football. Tackled by Strickland. Turnovers have been the story for sure so far tonight.
It was at the end of what was a purported start to the game that would have been quite positive for Rhode Island. We've had a lot of tip passes. We had the ball all over the place. And you know when you go on the road against a bigger program, you have to win turnover differential. You can't put the ball on the ground. You can't have the ball being tipped around and landing in your opponent's hands. So they're going to have to control that situation. A big part of that is getting ahead of the sequence. Got to win on 1st down. Got to get positive yards early in the set of downs.
Another oddity of this ball game for URI is that this is the first time these players have been on this field. They didn't have the opportunity to have a walkthrough yesterday or today. Drop for a loss by Donnie Simmons Jr.
This is a great example of ACC speed, quite frankly. There's a back who's got some wiggle to him, got some explosiveness himself, but at the defensive end position, he's able to turn, run, get flat, and still run down the tailback. That's something you're going to have to resolve here if you're URI. You can't have east-west runs. You got to get downhill and hit them quickly because sometimes the bigger guys are just as fast as your little ones.
Right. Simmons is 80 pounds heavier and some 8 inches taller, and he was just as fast, if not faster, on that play. Mraz tucks it. He's in trouble. And he's dropped at the 16-yard line. 5 carries. 4 of them have been for negative yardage. Marquise Hodge with the tackle.
I think Mraz actually makes the right decision to go ahead and take off with this, but you just got to get what you can get at that point. There's a small window ahead of him. We know he's got a little bit of run skill, but by and large, he's a pocket quarterback. you're going to want to try to find an early read, something positive, sort of that get back on track play, something you know he can complete, something that gets the offense moving in the right direction. Whatever that play is in your tool bag, you got to go for it here early.
Third down, a long 11. Spread formation for URI. Mirage, no time. And he's brought down. Zaire Franklin, the sophomore captain, with his first big play of the night.
Well, one of the big questions coming to this game is, was Syracuse going to want to pressure? I mean, they're a team that historically likes to get after the quarterback with sort of a myriad scheme kind of approach. But against a smaller program like URI where they have some physical advantages, could they just simply stay back, play zone, and let the defensive line get after them? At this point, it's been a little
Connor McHugh standing in his own end zone. He gets it away. Backpedaling and taking it at the 38-yard line. Cross midfield, still on his feet. Now finally swarmed under near midfield is Grizzly Esteem. 48-yard punt, a 12-yard return by Esteem. Syracuse football, 8:27 to go first quarter, up 7-0. Scott Schaefer was a quarterback in college, first at Ohio University, then at Division III Baldwin-Wallace College. But his defense, both as coordinator and now as head coach, has been terrific. Last year, even with numbers being down, their stats were extremely good.
Yeah, 26th ranked in the country, really able to hold that team together when the offense was having problems.
Morris up the middle, dropped at the 44-yard line after a gain of 5. Well, defensively last year, there were 8 players who are no longer with the team. 5 of them signed NFL contracts. So that's a lot of talent to replace, both for head coach Schaefer and for his defensive coordinator, Chuck Bullock.
Part of it's not just putting talent back on the field. That experience counts just in sort of the mistakes you'll see early. Just simple issues of being out there and doing the right thing. But we're well into the first quarter now. Things are settled down.
Hunt eludes the pass rush. Seemed to stumble, now goes down at the 42-yard line. That'll bring up third down and 3, and Hunt is down. He is back down and hurt.
I wondered as he began to scramble here, he takes sort of an odd stride. You could tell he went down. Yeah, I don't know if that's the leg again or if this is an ankle issue. You'll see an oddball stride right here. Oh, looked like an ankle potentially. He knew it right away. He took a stride or two after and knew the leg was not there underneath him.
We'll take a break while they tend to Terrell Hunt. Syracuse 7, Rhode Island nothing. Well, a worst-case scenario for Syracuse. Midway through the first quarter of the season, you see the senior quarterback who missed most of last year with a broken leg being helped off and not putting any weight on that right foot, Matt.
Feel terrible for the young man. Year rehab, come back, and this early to have another lower extremity injury.
And so, with Irv Phillips trying to find some room, we got a flag down in the field. We turn our attention to the true freshman quarterback, Eric Dungy, out of Lake Oswego, Oregon, who a year ago was playing high school football. Now he's on the field for Syracuse.
Illegal block in the back. Number 27 offense. That penalty's declined. 4th down.
They declined the penalty on George Morris, and that'll bring up 4th down.
Really the biggest ovation you heard of today was really when Terrell Hunt was introduced in pregame warmups, and I think this is one of the guys that the Orangemen really hung their hopes on for a turnaround season, and you could really feel the air in this building go out when he went down again with another lower body injury.
Riley Dixon stands at his own 41. End over end. Fair catch called for at the 14-yard line by Holmes. Check that, it's Kyrie Denny. And so URI takes over at the 14-yard line. They see the University of Rhode Island, founded back in the 19th century in Kingston, Rhode Island. Of the famous alumni, I'm going with Christian Amanpour.
That's yours. I'll go John King.
All right.
It's neck and neck there, but beautiful campus down there in Kingston. Cool little area there in Rhode Island.
As a matter of fact, as we have a flag before the snap.
Full start. Number 56 offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
Sam Hartman, the right guard. You know, Syracuse head coach Scott Schaefer got his first full-time coaching job at the University of Rhode Island, and he was an assistant coach there in Kingston, and he was retelling the story of his first day on the job. He had been a grad assistant at Indiana, where they had all the bells and whistles, big boy football. And so his first day on the job, he goes to Rhode Island, has to tear out carpet, has to replace old chalkboards with erase boards, dry erase boards, had to water the lawn, had to do everything, he and the other assistant coaches. It was a real eye-opener, and he said it gave him a great appreciation for those who do those jobs as he has climbed the ranks in the years since.
Well, and Jim Fleming over there at Rhode Island understands some of those issues that Schaefer handled years ago. I mean, obviously, in preparation for coming up here to the Carrier Dome, there are limitations you have down in Kingston, Rhode Island. You don't have an indoor facility to practice in. You don't have this surface underfoot. And you don't have the ability to try to play indoors and deal with some of the sound issues. And you see that as another game operation penalty goes down.
Second down and 14. Screen, and it's going nowhere for Harold Cooper again.
Well, you see a positive idea here. I see the train of thought. They're going to try to invite them upfield and create some space with a little bit of screen game. It's a good idea. It's a nice thought. The execution isn't terrible, but understand, again, you're behind in the sequence because of second 15. You got to do it on first and 10. You can't have the errors between the periods.
Last season, URI converted just over a quarter of their third down conversions. By the way, that completed pass was the first of the game for either team, and it went for negative yardage. Kind of the way the night has gone so far. Denny gets near the first down marker, but brought down just short. Sism with the tackle. Now, we talked about the fact that head coach Jim Fleming said he wanted his team to get at least 2 first downs every possession. Here are some of the other keys they're looking for.
Well, controlling the line of scrimmage is very important, and that's that physicality he's talking about. I think they've established now after a few series that they're not going to be able to win in the middle of the field. So that's finding horizontal space as much as vertical. That was a nice little pass they had there, a little catch and run play. That's going to be their best chance to potentially get some yards.
Grizzly Esteem makes the catch at his own 28. One quick move to get by the first Ram, and then he's dragged down to the 36. Nas Jones with the tackle. Now, in talking to URI offensive coordinator Bill Blyle earlier this week, he talked about how the turnover ratio is now the most important stat, and the time of possession is not as important as it was 5-10 years ago.
That's that 7-on-7 league that is the Big 12.
Yeah.
That's the Baylor mentality. Chip Kelly has brought to the NFL this notion that getting in more is a little more important than the quality. It's a different frame of mind, and certainly not one that I think URI is accustomed to. They're a pounded team. They want to run the ball first, but you're going to have to win that turnover differential in the absence of that.
And I enjoyed hearing you and Coach Blyle talk about your roots. He's from Remsen, Iowa, and he followed the University of South Dakota, knew who you were. Breaking free and into the open, down to the 33-yard line. A big gainer for the Orange. Down by contact.
Well, one of the big things that the URI defense was trying to stop today was plays over the top, cut back, and the edges. That's a loss there on the edge, a part of the field that they had targeted as an area that they could not lose. You see the gaps widening. Basically, what started as your A gap ends up 2 gaps over because they're getting washed on the interior line. You got to sit down, dig a post, make a hole.
31-yard gain for the freshman Jordan Fredericks. They go right back to him. And this time, the 2014 New York State Class A Player of the Year gets stacked up. And there goes on crutches Terrell Hunt for more treatment.
And he's got that sock off, got that shoe off. Could be an ankle, could be an Achilles. We just don't know. It's never a great sign when they put you on crutches early. Obviously feel terrible for that young man. We know how hard he worked to get back out here today. And all the hopes for a great 2015 season look to be a little bit up in the air right now.
Yeah, we have not seen him put any weight on that foot since. So again, the true freshman quarterback, Eric Dungy, tucks it. Just protects the football and gets back past the line of scrimmage, perhaps, and that'll bring up 3rd down and nearly 10.
Well, it's easy to forget, Doug, that, I mean, it's obviously we're seeing teams from different levels here, but Syracuse has a lot to work on offensively. They struggle quite a bit. They are the ACC team in this issue, but they've got a lot of sort of scheme things they're working on themselves, trying to find their own identity, figure out ways they're going to move the ball now. So they're struggling here a little bit, and URI has found a way to sort of capitalize and get them in some and-long situations.
Well, when asked on Tuesday which true freshman would he be planning on using and be comfortable, the first one named by Coach Schaefer was the man with the football, Dungy. Jump pass, deflected to himself by Irv Phillips. Cuts to the 20, to the 15. He's going to go! Touchdown, Syracuse! Well, that will allow the true freshman quarterback to take a deep breath. A 32-yard touchdown.
Playing that H-back position, making a great one-handed catch here, and then just simply getting out the speed, out in space, and you see the athleticism. You see the ability to hit the hole, take off, and the pursuit is just simply not fast enough. Great job of making a play and getting the ball brought in, but really finding width here in the field. They're using the entire width of the field. Blockers that are athletic, they're able to get on the edge and block even some of those smaller defenders of the URI ranks.
Cole Murphy, his second point after, and it's 14-0 Syracuse.
Syracuse 14, Rhode Island nothing.
Well, the way they describe the new hybrid position in the Syracuse offense is that your DNA means you can do everything, and we saw a little bit of everything right there except for blocking out of Irv Phillips, the terrific sophomore out of West Haven, Connecticut.
It's a position where they'll often recruit receivers out of the position to play at the back spot. I mean, it's a movement position. You're going to spend your time in motion prior to snap, catching balls out of the backfield, had it been some sort of tear screen anyhow. A lot of those receiver skills, but feeling that you got a rigid enough body where you can live in the backfield well if the play calls for it. Sort of a running back / wide receiver kind of position, and Syracuse uses it so well.
4 plays, 63 yards, took only 2 minutes. So after the interception return for a touchdown by Corey Winfield, the Syracuse offense gets on the board, and now that man, Jim Fleming, you can see it on his face. We got to get this thing cleaned up. 2:47 to go, first quarter.
Ryan Norton will take all for Syracuse. 22 Smalls on 2. Harold Cooper back to receive the kick.
Norton puts his foot into it. Harold Cooper won't bring it out. Rhode Island will take over, down 14-0.
Need to get back on track, Doug. We talked about this. Fleming's goal here was to get those 2 first downs. We've yet to see him be able to string those together. It'll be simply an emotional lift for the offense. I mean, you stare across, you see a uniform you recognize, you've seen on TV your whole life, and you want to feel some positives. You want to start to see a first down. It's these baby steps, but understand the game of football is going to be 150, 160 plays cumulatively over the course of this thing. So there's a ton of football to go. You just got to have small victories first to gain a little bit of that confidence back.
Give up the middle. Gain 5 on first down. Clark with the 5-yard pickup. Zaire Franklin with his second tackle of the night.
Franklin's kind of a cool story. I mean, and that defense has lost so many bodies from a year ago, but Franklin really started late in the season, and actually down at ACC Media Days, he was a representative, only a sophomore, guy that has plenty of playing experience, but not so much starting experience, but has risen to almost a leadership type position.
They go to Clark again, and this time Syracuse is ready. Shooting in to trip him up. Ted Taylor Outside linebacker from Riviera Beach, Florida.
Well, this is really one of those situations where a veteran quarterback that's had some experience checks out of that look. Mraz has all these guys up into the line. You got to know it's either double A's, double B's, something. They've sent too many bodies in the box for your people to go against. So you have to have the ability to check out, find something else. They're not able to do that. You ran the play that the defense loves that you were able to call.
So the 5 yards you gained on first down, you give right back on second down. Mraz has time, fires left side, caught, first down. Out to the 43-yard line. Marvin Move. And that is URI's first down.
Well, this is really the first time we've seen them stay in the pocket and attempt to play outside both the hash and numbers. Try to spread the field laterally if you're not going to be able to spread it vertically. They're going to have to find chunk plays like that. They've done that. Now you're able to sit the front down of Syracuse a little bit and maybe find some of those gaps in the run game you haven't been able to generate in past series.
Clark, the running back, along with Mraz. And the snap goes right by Mraz. Clark picks it up and is going to try and make something happen. He's dropped at the 30. It's a 13-yard loss.
These are just self-inflicted wounds. These are the kind of things you can't have if you're evenly talented in your matchup. When it's not so much that way, you're playing up a division, you're on the road. You know, volume wasn't an issue on that play. That's not what caused that mistake. That's just concentration. You have the ability to make the play. You settle down. You just play football like you've done your whole life. You make mistakes like that, you do not have a chance.
2nd and 23. Screen pass complete. Gain of 4 by Kyrie Denny. And that'll end the first quarter here at the Carrier Dome. Syracuse on this opening night has lost its quarterback to injury, but the defense scored first, the offense scored second. 14-0 Syracuse after 1. Start the second quarter at the Carrier Dome with Matt Chatham. I'm Doug Sherman. Syracuse with a 14-0 lead, but without its starting quarterback because of injury. The Orange has scored once on defense, once on offense, and now trying to stop a 3rd and long for the Rams. Mraz scrambling for his life to the 35, and he's going to be dragged down at the 43-yard line.
Well, this is a lesson for the young quarterback that he'll get an opportunity to take a peek at when they go back to the film room next week. Mraz doesn't keep his eyes downfield, does a nice job of getting a little bit of yardage back in the scramble, but at the backside post, guy's running down the field absolutely by himself. It's busted coverage by Syracuse, but you're not able to find it. That's something you're often coached to do. You got to keep your eyes down the field as you begin to scramble. Start staring at the turf, expect to meet some.
Connor McHugh to punt for the Rams. Esteem calls for a fair catch. Has a little trouble with it, but secures it at the 19-yard line, a 39-yard punt. And it's Syracuse football once again. We'll have a health update on the status of Terrell Hunt when we come back to the Dome. Season opener for both Rhode Island and Syracuse. Orange with the 14-0 lead early second quarter. And the true freshman quarterback, Eric Dungy, hands off to another true freshman, Jordan Frederick, still on his feet. And dragged down at the 25-yard line after a gain of 5. Well, the official note handed to us from Syracuse is that Terrell Hunt has a lower body injury and he will not return, and it came on this play, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, it's, again, we mentioned before, it's obviously an unfortunate situation, and as a player, you know when you know. And clearly, he didn't want to take a stride even with his own body weight. That's never a great sign.
Second down and 4. Again, the true freshman Fredericks stacked up after a short game. And there is Keith Harris. He is the father of Terrell Hunt. He works for CBS Sports and made the trip up here from New York City to watch his son's return after he missed most of last year with a broken leg. And unfortunately, as you can see on his face, concern for his child.
Yeah, it's the worst situation ever as a father. You're excited for your son. You know how hard he's worked to get back here today, and you're sitting in the stands in the dark. You know, how bad is it? Is he just going to sprain his ankle, or is it something worse? It's really a helpless feeling.
Well, Syracuse said before the season they want to get back to smash mouth football, just like they always used to do around here. That's a first down completion to Steve Ishmael, sophomore from Miami, with his first catch of the year. And I'll tell you, Matt, Syracuse has only carried the football once outside the tackles, helping to set up some of the passing action outside.
Well, we've seen them keep it relatively simple for Dungy thus far. You know, he hasn't had to do much pocket movement. There hasn't been, long 7-step drop kind of thing, read the field. It's been relatively easy reads, get the ball out of his hand quickly, and create some movement in that box. They're doing a nice job of keeping things straightforward. I mean, the young man had no idea he'd be playing football today.
Dungy off the play fake, puts it up for Esteen. Incomplete. Second down and 10.
Well, it's probably a good feeling for him to get out there and get that first big ball under his belt. Dungy does not complete it. There's not really an expectation that you're going to be on the same page with some of these starting wide receivers. You're probably not working with them a ton. So there's going to be a learning process, a process of feeling each other out with all of his guys. A lot of that is sort of nonverbal communication, and it would be an expectation that they'd be there just a couple series into his career.
The motion man is the hybrid Phillips. Flag down. First down run by Fredericks, but let's see if it'll stand.
Tackled on the play by number 46,
Offside. Defense. Penalty decline. Result of the play is the first down.
See a little bit of penetration there by Rhode Island. They're trying to sort of line stun a little bit, but what happens when you start doing left-right sort of horizontal movements with the D-line, if you get ridden out of there, those gaps get bigger. So you have to make a difficult choice. You're going to stand in and find, or you're going to try some sort of slant games, and slant games are tough if they're going to gash you with more of a downhill running style.
5 carries, 50 yards now for the true freshman Fredericks. Dungy tucks it and runs, slides and gets drilled, and that'll bring flags from everywhere. Isaiah Hill was the first to hit him as he was in his slide.
Dead ball. Personal foul, late hit with targeting. Number 24 of the defense. 15-yard penalty. The targeting is under automatic review.
Targeting is a word that you hear a lot more in college football, a point of emphasis to take this type of play out of the game.
Well, I mean, I understand the conflict the defender has. It's definitely a late hit. When he gives himself up, you can't do that. But I don't understand what the word targeting means. Are you not aiming when you're not targeting? I mean, you're trying to get the guy down. And he did what they now coach, which is to take your head out of it and turn your head. You know what happens when you turn your head? You can't see what you're hitting. So it's really a 6 or half dozen. It's not a winning situation. It's certainly a late hit. They deserve the flag, but I don't know what targeting means.
So it's under review. It's a 15-yard penalty.
After review, the targeting is confirmed. Number 24 has been disqualified for the remainder of the game.
So there you go. He is ejected for targeting.
Such a difficult situation as a defender. I mean, you have a program at Syracuse that loves to threaten that edge and get quarterbacks out of the pocket and run. Those are running backs. I mean, yeah, technically he's wearing a quarterback number, but he's outside the box. That's a runner who might make you look bad in space. You turn your head as they ask you to do, and you do hit them late. You have to be able to make that judgment call, but how do you expect someone to see something when they turn their head for safety? To me, that's always going to be a conflict that doesn't go in the defender's way. And, penalties one thing. Loss of play time, that's another, and I think that's crossing the line.
So Isaiah Hill is done for the night, and there's the targeting rule for college football.
Yeah, the rule here states is targeting of a defensive opponent with contact initiated the head neck area. And again, You saw the defender as he approached the tackle turn to lead with his shoulder, as they like you to do. But what that does is it takes your head and your eyes out of the play. You're not a deer. You don't have eyeballs on the side of your head. So unfortunately, you can't see that you're hitting that. And when he's gone into a slide, his head is lower. Where you're diving is actually where his knees would be. Difficult to say you were targeting a head at about 1.5 feet off the ground.
Hand off to George Morris. Grab from behind by Ezerike. Maybe picks up a yard. Well, Morris wound up being the starting running back tonight for Syracuse. And we have seen a lot of Jordan Fredericks as well. But a lot of times, Coach Schaefer, the other coaches on both sides of the season opener, you're not really sure which way it's going to go. And it was boxing. It was Mike Tyson who always said, everyone's got a plan when you get into the ring until you get hit in the mouth.
Until you hit the mouth, exactly.
And it's kind of the same thing here in season openers with football, right?
Yeah, you just don't know.
Nice job by Dungy to avoid the rush. Nearly had a touchdown, but it was dropped by Alvin Cornelius.
Cornelius here actually does a pretty incredible job of adjusting to the ball. This wasn't meant to be a back shoulder. You often see that back shoulder fade where they throw away from the intended route. Dungy just here sends a little bit too far to the outside. He does a nice little pirouette there, lays himself out, almost makes the play. Nice job of improvising there by Dungy. We've seen he has a little bit of that ability, but weren't able to pull that win. Would have been a huge play, huge change of momentum, obviously, with the penalty, the ejection. To be able to capitalize right off of the penalty, that's what teams like to do. Go ahead and take that shot, you just got a freebie.
Now, Dungy did have a lot of green space in front of him, too. He could have picked up maybe 10 yards on the run, but he went for it. So 3rd down and 10. Over the middle. Caught. First down, Syracuse. That's Ben Lewis, the number 2 hybrid on the depth chart. He was a wide receiver a year ago. Now the junior from Middletown, Maryland, onto the stat sheet with a first down.
Yeah, and sometimes that designation of the H-back is just a letter designation, something on a sheet of paper. He's doing a lot of wide receiver responsibilities. They move around the formation, create confusion with the defense. They don't know how to match up against them, forces you into some soft zones. And in those kind of situations, the better athletes usually win.
16-yard gain. Back to the ground to Fredericks. Avoids a tackle inside the 10. Out of bounds inside the 5-yard line.
Well, what really makes this play for young Fredericks is a great stiff arm. He puts his helmet right on the crown. Player drops her head. He puts the hand out, bounces off of him. Does a nice job of getting the outside a little bit of speed. That's great sort of cognizance there by the runner, being able to be aware of the situation, allow the defender to go ahead and declare, and then just to bounce right off.
3rd run for 10 yards or more. 31, 12, and 13 yards. They go back to Fredericks. Nowhere to go that time. It'll bring up 2nd down and goal. Naquan Thomas making the tackle for the Rams. And one of the big problems Syracuse had last year with all of its injuries and ineffectiveness at the quarterback position, they got all the way down to their 4th-string quarterback, A.J. Long, who's still on the team, but he isn't even on the travel roster this year, and he played the majority of the snaps a year ago. It looks like with Eric Dungy, they have themselves a pretty good backup right now. The true freshman has acquitted himself well. A little miscommunication there with Phillip. Phillips seemed to be going one direction, the pass went the other.
I don't mean to overstate this. It's never easy when you're a young player coming in, but this is the kind of offense where it's a lot of single read. You pull it down, it's a short movement of the pocket, you've got a low read and a high read, so you kind of simplify things for the quarterback. You're not dropping back and having to read 180 degrees the entire field. You cut the read down, you make it relatively simple. Run play, one play, move the pocket, and/or. So he's doing a nice job. He didn't have the connection there, but you can see the offense with Schaefer has really put it in a situation to be successful.
3rd and goal in the air. Ball is caught but out of bounds by Ishmael. And let's see if Syracuse will go for it on 4th down. Looks like the field goal unit will come out.
Well, Evans actually did a great job here at the cornerback stop of bodying the man outside. You get him off the line. He's really running his route down the boundary. That means you can't take advantage of all that extra length that number 8 has. He runs that a little more narrow, and then he has all that extra pad to fade away. Great job there by the cornerback of bodying him out of bounds.
Dixon the hold, and the kick is good by Cole Murphy. Nice looking drive for the Orange, led by their true freshman quarterback from Oregon. 17-0 Syracuse. Well, both sides have settled down a bit after 4 turnovers combined in the first 5 minutes. 17-0 Syracuse. Just under 9 minutes remaining in this first half. Nice looking drive by the true freshman Eric Dungy, 6'3", 202 from Lake Oswego, Oregon. His passing numbers so far are solid. 3 out of 7 for 56 yards and a touchdown. That touchdown was to Irvin Phillips. Holmes to the 20. Flag comes from midfield. Holmes is dropped at the 21.
Going to return. Holding. Number 82 of the return team. 10 yards from the spot of the foul. First down.
So URI continues to hurt itself.
Yeah, as I say, you hit the nail on the head there, Doug. It's really been the story of the first half of self-inflicted wounds. You have an opportunity with a special teams play to potentially take a chunk back and somehow, some way get some points on the board. But if you continue to start drives behind the 8 ball or have negative plays on first down, you don't give yourself much of a shot.
That was Grant Lewis, redshirt freshman tight end from Glastonbury, Connecticut, who was called for the hold. Once again from just in front of the goal line, not much doing, and the ball comes loose. Who's got it? Syracuse.
Well, it's I feel like Teddy Rexman here playing over the same cassette tape over and over, but ball handling now an issue. Backed up, following a penalty, put the ball on the ground. The other team being more talented or playing in a bigger conference.
A fumble and recovery by Syracuse is under further review.
That's really not an excuse. I mean, at the end of the day, still football. Got to hang on to it. You may not convert the balls or convert the first downs, but ball security is of paramount importance, obviously.
They're reviewing to see if Clark was down before the ball came loose.
I believe it's out because the defender is actually underneath him at the time the ball's being stripped. We'll check here for knees on the next replay, but he's aided because I believe the safety here is underneath the play. Rolls over the body. Let's watch there for the knee. Yeah, I think he's well, that might be the elbow. We're not getting. Right elbow is just in contact, but we can't tell from the other side if the ball's yet come free.
Yeah, it looks like that's Paris Bennett hanging on underneath. The ball was stripped up top by Luke Arcenega. And then Cordy with the recovery. And that call is confirmed.
Call's confirmed. Usually it's a tough job there to overturn. It has to be conclusive evidence. That looked to me that it was really a bang-bang kind of play.
And there you see the turnover story. Rhode Island just continues to give itself no chance at the rate they're going. They gave the ball to Syracuse at the 9.
Yeah, we don't even have to have an opinion on this. You could just simply take it from the coaching staff. Peter told them they're negative 4 in the first half on turnover differential. You don't even need to look at the scoreboard. You know how things are going.
Running back again, Jordan Fredericks. A couple of true freshmen standing together in the offensive backfield for the Orange. Dungy gives it off. No gain. Adam Parker, the middle linebacker who we talked about off the top, who was the leading tackler for URI coming back. 102 tackles, including 16 against Maine. But he's only 5'11", 223. He's in there with the big boy.
That's just a great stick, though, by Parker, stepping up in the hole and making a thought. I mean, players still got to play. You got to go out there and do your job. You can't control the other things that are going around you. The guy's active. He's a leader on this defense. At the end of the day, you just get more reps. You go out and play hard. do the best that you can.
And Coach Fleming said, quote, he sniffs it pretty good, sniffs it out pretty good. Off play action. Touchdown, Syracuse. Irvin Phillips with his second TD of the night.
Great shot here of how they're using Dungy with that little bit of short pocket motion, making an easy read, making an exceptional throw, nice little ball on the run, keeps his body balance actually pretty decent. That's a nice throw for the young man. Those pretty good mechanics for a little short, where he got a little bit of pressure in his face and still was able to deliver a great ball.
Dixon puts it down. Kick is up. And it's 24-0 Orange. Miller Phillips playing a new role this year. They call it the hybrid. And so far so good. This is second touchdown reception. All Orange up 24-0. Certainly one of the smaller crowds they'll have in the Carrier Dome this fall for the season opener against Rhode Island as the FCS school visits the FBS school. But I got to tell you that the student section actually is doing very well. They handed out free tickets, which for this university, if you know anything about this university, that doesn't happen. They handed out 3,000 free tickets to every freshman who just got here on campus, and I think they've taken advantage, and they've been making great noise down to our left.
Absolutely. A lot of big plays have come down in that corner of the field.
Syracuse up 24-0. This the first kickoff that did not carry into the end zone. Nice return out across the 20. Miles Holmes. He's one of the big playmakers for the Rams, but he's the one who fumbled the opening kickoff and allowed Syracuse to get things going. Davon Ellison with the tackle on special teams. So if you're Rhode and if you're Jim Fleming, what are you doing right now? Trying to figure out how to stem the tide, just clean things up.
Well, you press upon the guys that if you're touching it, it's gold. Your scholarship's in your hand. Do not let go of that football. The pigskin is yours. It's ours. Our fortune's right in it.
On the delay, it's Harold Cooper, who has yet to be able to find any space.
I think that's the biggest issue here. It's not a matter of what play should be run. It's a matter of when I call it, can we please hang on to the thing or not have a penalty or a negative play early? And a lot of that's just a matter of concentration. And obviously this is a different building, but you still just have to play the game.
One of the strengths coming into the season for Rhode Island they thought would be the offensive line. You've got a guy, Tyler Catalina, who has all sorts of upside playing left tackle. They've got experience across the front. The center, Kevin Galagli. The right guard, Sam Hartman. Dave Steinmetz, the right tackle. The new guy is the left guard, Michael Gilbert. But by and large, they have not been able to hold off the rush of Syracuse tonight.
Yeah, we know what the intentions are. I mean, Coach Fleming talked to us about how they wanted to sort of handle things, how they iteratively go down the field with the 2 first down notion, the idea of creating some space, running game early on first and second down. But when you have the ball handling issues, you never make it to your playbook. You never get into your scheme.
So again, 3rd and long. It's 3rd and 11. Miraz tucks it. He's chopped down just shy of the 30. Nice tackle in the open field by Rodney Williams.
This is actually a great example of the conflict the runner has, or as a defender has. This is the exact same hit that got the other guy ejected. You're just fortunate enough that at the time that quarterback decided to put his head down as opposed to slide. Neither defender would see the difference, and you see how difficult that is. His head was turned as well, and the quarterback slid into him. He hits him in the exact same spot, and your day's over. I just personally think that's a ridiculous rule. The player has no chance.
But we understand where the rule is coming from because it's all about player safety. And with the head injuries that we have at all levels and so much attention focused on it, they're trying their best to figure out how to do it. But you're right, it is far from a perfect call.
I understand the notion of flags. I definitely think flags are the way to go, but throwing them out.
We'll take a break. 5:53 remaining in the half here at the Carrier Dome. Here's the Cleveland area native Scott Schaefer, third-year head coach of Syracuse, and the scoring offense tonight already 24 points. You see they only averaged 17 per game a year ago. They're already on their second-string quarterback, but So far, so good since the injury to Terrell Hunt. Dungy on the quarterback keeper.
Well, this is an important time for Syracuse here to do some good work. You don't want to get sloppy. Some of the things have come a little bit easy, but you want to make sure that you stick to your fundamentals, that you execute your offense. Great read there by Dungy. He's doing a good job of making the right decisions. Those are usually the things you worry about the most with a young quarterback. Not so much the athleticism and ball throwing and things like that, but the right choices. He's done a lot of that thus far.
Gain of 7. And so now he has gained 12 yards on 3 carries. Handed off to another one of the freshmen. Check that. That's Morris brought down. Meanwhile, the running back for URI, Cooper, has carried the ball 7 times now for 3 yards, -1, -2, -3, +1, +2, and 0 for a net gain of -1 on 7 carries.
Really hard to evaluate a back, a young player, someone you're trying to integrate your offense more when each and every down you're getting hit before you make a line of scrimmage, penalties, all these kinds of things. The defense can really key off on you when they know what's coming because you hurt yourself. Those self-inflicted wounds we mentioned.
3rd down and 1. Morris again puts his head down and looks like he's got a first down.
It's Syracuse first down.
Ted Wilson on the stop. And the Orange will keep the football.
And again, wins and losses, you're obviously here as Rhode Island trying to win the game. It's football, you're here for that. But I mean, one of the things Coach Philman wants to get from this is he wants to make sure that his guys come out, play hard, play physical, play fast. It's been an extremely sloppy first half for them, but that doesn't mean there can't be some redeeming qualities to come out of this game. You still got an entire CAA season ahead of you. Get in there, do your thing, get your work done, and get something from this.
Dungy's pass caught near the first down marker. 3 Rams take the receiver down and out of bounds. Esteem with the catch. They'll give him 9 yards.
Well, that's a 1 read. That's he takes the ball in the pocket, steps, hits his back foot, and he's immediately going with it. We've really seen the young quarterback go all over the place. He's really used all the field, made a lot of different kind of decisions, found a lot of different receivers.
Grizzly Esteem, quite a weapon. He was hurt for most of last year, but now healthy. He runs a 4.40. He's got that burst back. A lot of space on 2nd down. Morris with another first down carry.
Yeah, space was the issue here, Doug. You hit the nail on the head. Within a stride or two of handing off the ball, you realize they've created some movement. That's this kind of goofy Syracuse offense. It can be very effective and very difficult for a defense. If you're not sure where the ball's going, a little misdirection by some line play, and all of a sudden a misstep by a linebacker, a little too far up the field by a defensive end, and you've got Mass Pike.
Morris picked up 9, 39 yards now. They give to Lewis the hybrid, and he's tackled for a loss. A lot of folks in Central New York who follow this program were wanting for the Orange to blow out the FCS opponent.
Sure.
Last year, they went to double overtime in their opener before they could beat Villanova. And I think a lot of folks were using this as a litmus test. Are we going to be pushed to the limit by an FCS opponent?
Sure.
Or can we handle them like we, quote, are supposed to?
Right, exactly. Well, and all FCS programs are not the same. We've seen North Dakota State, some of these top-end FCS programs really give good BCS teams problems.
No question. And Villanova in the CAA is a much different story than Rhode Island in the CAA.
Absolutely.
Dungy, another good decision. Now 3rd down, and it'll be 2. Selwyn Nicholas with the stop for Rhode.
Get a shot here at Dungy, pull the ball down and making some plays. We've really gotten to see him in a short sample size of maybe 20 to 25 plays. Do a lot of different things. 1 read, get the ball down the field, move the pocket, get the ball down the field, run the ball, pull it out of the pocket, do a lot of the good things. The player seems like a smart young man.
And that's his 3rd design run for a total of 20 yards. Pass complete, although now the whistle comes. It was a completed pass for a first down.
It's Syracuse first down.
Sean Avant with his first reception.
Well, these are the kind of throws these are the kind of throws you're going to have to make. The knee is down, but a quarterback in the ACC is going to have to make these throws if you give you off coverage. If they're going to sag, they're going to play 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 yards off the ball. You have to hit that quick hitch, that quick slant. The ball's got to come out of your hand quickly and on target. You like to hit them on the run, so they don't have to go to the knee. But still good job at least getting the ball there close and on location.
Still it is first down even without the yards after catch. And a timeout for Coach Schaefer to talk things over. Well, his team has settled down nicely. They turned the ball over twice in the first 5 minutes, lost their returning senior quarterback midway through the first quarter, and they have sucked it up. And so far, they've done much, much better than the beginning of the year. We talked about what is the hybrid back system, and Ohio State uses a similar system. They do it the best of anybody. Northwestern calls it something else. What do you see out of the Syracuse hybrid right now?
Well, it's almost an arena football kind of concept. The idea of sort of some pre-snap movement, getting somebody in a position that's faster than the guy you usually see standing in that position. Even a little CFL, sort of that lateral running speed. The ability to really stress the defense to really match another kind of body type like that, where you get small where you don't want to be small.
Right. So the idea is to get Irv Phillips covered by a linebacker. No offense to you and the other linebackers. But there he goes, getting deep once again. Phillips had a step on the defense. And it looks like it was one of the middle linebackers who was trying to keep with him. Got some safety help, but if the ball was dropped in there, it would have been 6 more.
Just off the mark there slightly, but you're right, Doug. It's a situation where you see them aligned in the huddle, and you're doing this by personnel groups. You see what are, air quotes, 2 backs. That back's not a back. that's a wide receiver.
Yep.
A very difficult matchup for a linebacker.
Offensive coordinator Tim Lester took over midstream last year. Handoff goes to Morris. Absorbs the hit at the 30 and gets a couple more yards. 8 of 8 on second down. But the offensive coordinator said he learned the hybrid from having been a defensive coordinator and how difficult it was for him to try and stop. This is why he has implemented it. There's Morris running over the would-be tackler, and we've got another timeout. Naquan Thomas ultimately brought him down.
If you look at any of the sort of developments that have happened in offensive football over the years, most of this is predicated off of understanding what it does to the other guy.
Yeah.
I mean, you're trying to create, lateral space as much as vertical space. We used to talk about who's going to be the go route guy, who's going to take the top off of defense. Now you're trying to find ways to create space in the width of the field, and guys are finding unique and creative ways to do that. They do it by pace. They keep the game moving so quickly to where you can't get reset, and you create these gaps because guys are just out of position. It's a unique way that the dimensions of the field don't change, but some of the offensive play calling does to try to take advantage of what is there.
3rd down and 3. 2 receivers to the left, Esteem and Lewis. Ishmael to the right. Looking left all the way. The pass deflected at the line of scrimmage will bring up 4th and 3. We talk about how offenses evolve. During your years in the NFL as a linebacker with the Patriots, winning 3 Super Bowls, what was the toughest adjustment you had during that time as offenses changed and morphed and grew?
Well, there were games where, I was admittedly more of a rundown guy, and if it got into that 3rd down situation, I didn't have much pass rush to me. I was more to stop, run, play that part of the game. When you play teams like the Indianapolis Colts or even the Broncos in certain years, those were games where the defense spends the entire day in nickel defense, and you lose a linebacker on the field.
44-yard field goal attempt is up. And it's no good, wide to the left by Cole Murphy. Now, he was very accurate last year as a freshman, 13 for 16, including a pair of 50-yarders. He's got the foot, got the leg, just pulled it left. And so he is 1 for 2 so far tonight.
Yeah, a little bit of a hook there, came over the top. I've got that in my golf swing. I understand exactly what the young man's going through.
But playing for Bill Belichick and the assistants that they've had through there, did you always feel like you were on the cutting edge of that sort of thing, the cat and mouse game that goes back and forth?
Well, they were always so good at it was sort of accentuating what you did well. They weren't trying to put a scheme out that would do that if you didn't have the people that could run it, quite frankly. Cooper
from Mirage. Nice gain on first down for Rhode Island. And that's the first real positive play for Cooper, as we laid out his 7 carries had netted -1 yard.
And it can't be, emphasized enough here. Now, 26 seconds before half, just getting a positive play, potentially sneaking one down the field here. Incompletion there. You need something to get spirits up. You got to go into halftime to convince yourself that you still have an opportunity to go out and play good ball.
So 3rd down and 4 with 22 seconds remaining in the half. Now the coaches say Mraz has an above-average arm. We've seen the accuracy they talked about. Let's see if they try to air it out a little bit on 3rd and 4. Timeout, Rhode Island.
Timeout. University of Rhode Island. That's their first timeout. It's a 30-second timeout.
And Paul Mraz ran option in high school back in Brockton, Mass. And didn't really start to throw the football, as we see Dungy's numbers on the other side. He's done very well. But for Mraz, he didn't start throwing the football until he got to junior college at Victor Valley out in California. So it's all a relatively new thing.
Yeah, it's very effective at it. So, you come back here to the East Coast and you get thrown into a system on day one where you're going up a division to play an ACC school. So it's certainly getting tossed into the fire.
Well, the coaches told us earlier this week that they evaluated 26 different junior college quarterbacks before settling on Paul Mraz. That's how much they think of him.
Bright future ahead for the man. You really have to sort of put this game, at least this first half, we're not going to say game yet, but put this first half out of your mind and just start executing as you do in practice each day. Do those things that gave them that faith in you.
And he's only been a Ram for less than 2 months. I mean,
Absolutely.
he got on campus mid-July and has had to pick up a lot quickly. Mraz to the receiver coming back to him. Fadre White couldn't pull it in, and that'll bring up 4th down with 16 seconds remaining in the half. First time he's been able to target Fadre White downfield. The senior from St. Petersburg had a team-high 35 catches a year ago, 304 yards, but they haven't been able to find him, haven't had time to find him. So now the punt unit back out for URI. Brisley Esteem standing at his own 28 to receive. Connor McHugh has been busy and effective punting the football. Esteem with a return from the 32. Turns the corner across the 45. Still on his feet. Inside the 40. He could go. Brisley Esteem. Touchdown Syracuse. As time expires in the half. He took it at his own 25-yard line, and he goes 75 yards.
And he challenges the edge of the air quotes defense. That's the edge of the special teams unit. Coach Philomene talked about the importance of limiting big plays from the Syracuse offense. This comes from the special team where they lost on the edge, much as you see sometimes on an outside run play and an offensive play. Got to set an edge in those punt returns just the same as you would on a defensive series.
I didn't say it, but I was thinking, and I'm sure the people on the Rhode Island side were thinking that we don't want to have to give them the football back. Even if we don't move the football, we got to hold on to it and kill these last few seconds. And we wind up seeing one of the elite athletes on the field making them pay dearly now, 31-0.
Yeah, you just saw the gap in athleticism there at the edge. You really have to overplay the edge if there's that sort of speed deficiency.
It's the first punt return for a touchdown by a Syracuse player in a dozen years. And it gives the Orange a 31-0 halftime lead over Rhode Island.
Bobby Valentine, there is an athletic director. I did the playoff game for those guys a year ago against, I believe, Fordham, which, you know, it's 7 degrees of separation or whatever to Bucky Jones, former Syracuse Orangeman himself, son, played for Fordham against that Sacred Heart team, and Tebucky's son is now in the NFL, trying to make cuts on this difficult weekend of the end of training camp.
Well, as you know, Tebucky Jones was a tremendous player at Syracuse, came in as a running back and wound up getting switched over, and you immediately saw, boy, that guy is good.
Yeah, and he played multiple positions in the NFL as well. He transitioned from being a top-round pick and at the quarterback spot to one of the better safeties in the league.
Opening kick taken by the Orange. Big stick. Grizzly Esteem taken down at the 28-yard line. That was Nas Jones who stopped him dead in his tracks.
Yeah, great hit by Jones. And again, you're looking for positive signs from URI. You have to support your teammates. You have to sort of band together in this thing of brotherhood. And when a guy comes down and smacks a guy after kickoff, you got to be fired up, and that's something to be happy about. You're still out here playing football, regardless of what the score is. Go out here and find something positive to hang your hat on in that second half.
Eric Dungy getting the start at quarterback in the second half. True freshman who replaced Hunt midway through the first quarter, and that's another completion, this time to Steve Ishmael.
Nice little screen there on the back end by the umpire. As a linebacker, that's never something you like to see. You got these little obstructions there. Well, he did a nice job, a little pirouette of his own to get out of the way and help that be incomplete.
Well, we've received word that Ishmael's roommate, Irvin Phillips, is out for the rest of the game with a lower body injury. So more bad news for Syracuse. Don't know the extent of it. We didn't see it when it occurred, or if we did, we didn't realize it. There's Morris breaking tackles for a first down. He's into Rhode Island territory. So one big constant in all of athletics and for the Syracuse football team is we've got to stay healthy. We went through so many injuries last year. Two of their key players out for the rest of the game with injury as we take another look at Morris.
Does a nice job here running with patience and great vision. When he makes that decision to put the foot in the ground, he goes. It's a 45-degree angle. He gets in there in a hurry.
15-yard gain for Morris. He's now gained 61 on the night. And they go back to the ground. And it's another near first down run. Indeed it is for Morris.
Well, Coach Fleming for URI, I think at least from a game planning standpoint and doing a good job of film study and understanding what they were up against today, really hit the nail on the head. You know, we could not give up plays over the top in the cutback and on the edges. We saw in that run there a big chunk play of approximately 10 yards. How does it come? They really just dominated and washed off the edge. When you don't win the edge in this environment, you really open up for other issues.
Morris again. Rhode Island stops him after a 2-yard gain.
Well, there's a good example of URI doing a nice job of setting the edge. That was a great edge there. The defensive end stands up to tackle. Linebacker gets down, gets in the hole. Coach Fleming knows exactly what he's talking about. When his guys on his scheme do their jobs, they can stop this AC team from time to time.
As a team, Syracuse gained 129 yards rushing in the first half, and they are seemingly happy to keep adding to that total. And again, that's part of the mindset that we heard in the preseason, that Syracuse wants to get back to power football. And we've seen that out of George Morris running effectively between the tackles. Timeout called by Dungy. Here's a good look at the young man out of Lake Ridge High School in Lake Oswego, Oregon. Getting congratulations, as he should. His head coach impressed as he's been pressed into duty. Back in Syracuse, Orange with the football on 2nd down and 9. Dungy gonna run it again. Slides, this time no late hit, and another good decision for the freshman.
You see sort of the difficulty that it puts on a defense to have this H-back concept out there. I've been kind of keeping an eye on the defensive box of the Rams, and they've been trying to get away with 6 because that 7th guy has been removed from the box. That linebacker's walking out with the H-back from time to time. So it puts you a little thin on the inside, and as we see now, 6 again, with the ability to motion the guy back in and have virtually a 2-back set.
And that's interesting, Matt, because statistically the hybrids have not done a lot in terms of volume. There's Ishmael with a first down catch inside the 25. The hybrids have collectively carried the football twice for -3 yards. and they have only caught 3 passes, but of course 2 of those were touchdowns by Phillips.
Well, what it does is it thins the box. So it's not so much the touches they get, but by virtue of having to account for them, what it does to the center part of the field. So you walk them out, you're forced to walk a guy out to honor it.
Yep.
They throw it to him or not, and all of a sudden you've got a little more lane on the inside.
Syracuse moving the chains again to start this third quarter. Around the edge, still on his feet. Now the whistle blows on Jordan Fredericks.
Forced out of bounds by Dustin Payne.
Fredericks had a terrific first half. His first college half of football. He gained 63 yards, including a 31-yarder. One of the bright young true freshmen on the roster for Coach Schaefer.
These are those environments where it's great to get these guys rep. It's a little less threatening kind of situation. You can just do your simplistic plays. You're getting a little more movement up front, so there's not the tight windows. Work on ball security, work on making the right read and being just an explosive, fast player.
Play action. Dungy, plenty of time. Got bodies on the right. Instead, he runs to the left. Inside the 15-yard line.
Able to see a little bit there of a decision that was maybe a little questionable by Dungy. He's done a lot of great things today, but after the play fake, he had his back in the flat, and they put a conflict on the quarterback that side. He really had 2 men on 1. Hope down, ran left. So it's not always going to be perfect. This is a learning situation. Even though teams ahead, these reps are so valuable when you haven't had a ton, and you've got some really dangerous games ahead of you on the schedule.
3rd down and 1. Dungy so far 8 of 14 through the air, 100 yards. First down, Syracuse. Still on his feet, Fredericks spins away from the tackle, and he's into the end zone. Touchdown, Syracuse.
Well, what's so impressive here about what Fredericks does is he makes the right cut, gets in the right hole. A little bit of confusion there with the wide receiver. Get him away or go, but it's the balance that you see. Being able to bounce off tackles, not completely oversell the body to where you're going to lose balance, and allow him to just sort of pinball, bounce off, keep your balance, keep moving forward. That's a special skill. You don't see that in every back that carries a ball in college football.
The AT is good, 38-0 Syracuse. I'll tell you, Jordan Fredericks knows how to get himself in the end zone. Matt, he scored 98 touchdowns in his high school career. That's a Nassau County record on Long Island.
Oh, and this is the ability for a guy to be an inside player that becomes an outside player once he clears the line of scrimmage. He took it to the correct hole on the inside, but he went in and then threatens the edge. That's a special skill. Again, I said it before, you don't find every back that can do that. Usually it's an and/or. This guy has a special skill. You've seen him really make plays on both the inside and out.
Well, in this part of the country, the fans are waiting for the next 44. And, of course, That's the number that's synonymous with that program, starting back in the 50s with Jim Brown, then to Ernie Davis, who won the Heisman Trophy in 1961, and then, of course, Floyd Little, who is in the building, still works for the university. Those were the big 3 of the 44s. There have been others who have successfully worn that uniform, and there you see before the game, Floyd on the right. And he is one of the real fixtures, and they are talking about the possibility of unretiring that number. If they find the right player, find the right kid, it is something that's been used over the years as a recruiting tool.
Absolutely.
Problem is, it's hard to live up to those expectations if you're a high school kid coming in trying to take that number that has meant so much to this program.
Yeah, first thing that pops in my mind is Rob Conrad. Years ago, a fullback that I played against when he was in Miami with the Dolphins. Such a special player at the collegiate level where he's, a rugged fullback body, but with the nifty enough feet to where he could carry the ball and still be effective as well.
And now there are other great running backs in the history of this program that did not wear 44, like a Larry Zonka, who was more like a Rob Conrad, but didn't have 44 because his teammate and running mate, Floyd Little, already had it.
Yeah, it was occupied. It was being taken care of for sure.
And there's Zonk up top, middle, and the other 44s. And number 72 down in the bottom left was Tim Green. We caught a fleeting glimpse of him. His son is actually a reserve on the Syracuse roster now, and he is a college football Hall of Famer. Spent 10 years playing in the NFL for the Atlanta Falcons. Here's Clark. Tripped up at the 30 after a gain of 5. Marky Clark, a redshirt freshman from Wayne, New Jersey, out of DePaul Catholic High School. Again, he was not on the 2 deep coming into the game, but you just never know.
No, we don't. They don't know. They're gonna mention that to see what works for them.
Well, Harold Cooper has been completely bottled up as their feature back, and instead of going to T.J. Anderson, a sophomore who was on the 2 deep, they've gone to Marky Clark. Mraz nearly intercepted, in and out of the hands of Julian Wiggum. Was nearly able to pull in his 5th career interception.
Well, this is the right play call. You got the yards on first down. You get a little fullback in the flat off play action, but you deliver the ball high. You can't have tip balls in the secondary, obviously, from that position. If the ball's off a little bit, you got to elevate, stop, go get the ball. The catch and run element's gone. We've really seen the ball bouncing around too much today. A part of that, obviously, is efficiency at the quarterback position, but as a player's out there running those routes, you cannot play volleyball. That ball is precious.
AC Rhode Island on 3rd down conversions, only 1 for 7 so far tonight. Up top. Good coverage, but there are the flags coming in on Wiggum. So after he nearly got the interception, he's called for interference as he and Kyrie Denny battle downfield.
Pass interference. Defense number 1. 15 yards from the previous line of scrimmage. Automatic first down.
We'll take a look here at the replay. My first reaction, my initial reaction is laced with bias, but my first thought was that both players have a right to the ball, and it appeared that Wiggum was just playing back into the football. They're both playing wide receiver at that point. He's not bodying up the receiver. He's trying to go past him and get the ball. He has a right to the ball as well, but that's not the way the officials saw it.
Well, Julian Wiggum has been encouraged by his coaches to be aggressive and confident this year. Lost some of that last year as a junior. There's a tackle for loss again. Zaire Franklin, the middle linebacker, sophomore captain from Philadelphia, with the hit.
We talked about how active Franklin was, and wow, it's a really dangerous way to go in there with a head down, but he does make a real nice play.
And excuse me, I got to correct myself. That wasn't Franklin, number 4. That was Antoine Cordy who made that nice hit. Cordy, the starting strong safety from Homestead, Florida. There he is. They nicknamed him the Giant. He's 5'8", but his nickname is Giant. But he plays like a giant, from what the coaches say. Strong guy, fearless, sticks his nose in there. There's a lot to be said for that. Some of the biggest guys are not the toughest guys. Some of the smallest guys are the toughest ones on the field.
As a rookie in St. Louis in 1999, we had a guy on the team named Billy Jenkins. Billy Bullet, they called him. And he was small. He was built like a bullet, but he would pass through your ribs, go in one side and go out the other if you weren't careful. I've seen a guy at 190, 200 pounds or whatever virtually pass through offensive linemen. It's speed and the willingness to not break your feet and just drive it through. Be dangerous.
3rd down and 11. Charlie McKeeman comes set after going in motion. Mraz has his pass deflected by Wiggum. Another terrific defensive play by the senior from West Palm Beach, Florida.
Well, that's a good example of the lessons that Mraz will learn now up at this upper level. I think he actually made a nice throw here, made a nice decision. He's just a little late in arriving with the ball because the windows at this level close so fast. That's just a sinking cornerback coming off what had been the route. He covered 7 yards of ground from the time the ball left his hand. So you have to become acclimated to how quickly those windows close when you're playing against this type of athlete.
And Mraz has misfired on each of his last 5 pass attempts, bringing up 4th down. Grizzly Esteen. He's going to stay away. The ball goes out of bounds very nicely for URI at the 9-yard line. Well, Connor McHugh has had himself a very good night. He's been busy and active, and the senior from Lowell, Massachusetts, has the orange pinned back inside their own 10. Back inside the Carrier Dome, Syracuse comfortably ahead, 38-0. And we go ESPN College Football by the numbers. 48 games on the ESPN networks this Labor Day weekend, including here at the Dome. 450 games total this season. course, it all culminates with the football playoffs and the national championship game. On the jet sweep. Space across the 25-yard line for Dante Strickland. And it's another Syracuse first down. 19 yards on the game.
And it almost feels unfair if you're starting to see depth of playbook. This is a look that they've not yet seen. The ball is pulled out of the gut at the exact right time by Dungy. He makes a great read back, makes a great patience move there by sticking with his blocker. Another big chunk play.
And that's the third time we've seen the hybrid run the football, and the first time they've had a big gain. He's the freshman who has picked up the hybrid system the fastest, and so that's why Dante Strickland is getting this opportunity.
Yeah, and you see there they have an opportunity to block. So they show that short motion again, and the defenders react as if potentially you're seeing the same play. You're going to get that same carry potentially, and then all of a sudden he's in your chest and he's blocking you. So that's the difficulty, and that's why they do this. You can also counter with a bigger physical player and knock him back and make some hay there, but at this point URI hasn't been able to find that guy in the field to match him.
2nd and 8 for the Orange at the 31-yard line. Dungy able to get rid of the football. It's complete to Cam McPherson. First catch for the junior from right here in Syracuse out of Christian Brothers Academy. And you know who his grandfather is? Dick McPherson, Hall of Fame coach who spent a decade as head coach here at Syracuse. And as a matter of fact, they are going to bring Coach Mack back next week after the first quarter of the game against Wake Forest and honor him on the field. So if you are a Syracuse fan, you don't want to be outside the dome for a chance to say thank you to one of the great legends of this program. In and out of the hands of Cornelius. You know, it's Coach Mack who took over the program from Frank Maloney as it had stagnated through the 70s into the 1980s. And this building was opened in 1980. It coincided a year before with Coach Mack coming in and just building this into a national power. And that's what Coach Schaefer and his company are trying to build it back to. And Coach Mack, always a treat to be around. He's one of the great personalities in the game. And again, they'll honor him next Saturday against Wake Forest. Dixon's punt. Fair catch. And by the way, Cameron McPherson is the second of Dick McPherson's grandsons to play for Syracuse. Mackie McPherson is now a grad assistant at Louisiana Tech, but he was a former captain of the Orange. He was a starting center for 4 years. So good bloodlines there out of Coach Mack. So now let's see what Rhode Island can do on offense. If it can hold on to the football and if it can string together those first downs the coaching staff was hoping for at the start. Rhode Island 0-2 all-time against Syracuse. Most recently, they played them in 2011 to a tight ball game. Syracuse won it in this building 21-14. Pass deflected and incomplete. And Rhode Island has never beaten an FBS school. They are 0 for 12 on their way to 0 for 13. Is it just the sheer size and physicality that's hard to match up, or are there other things that are not so obvious, Matt?
Well, Coach Fleming had talked about wanting to sort of win the interior part of the line, and physicality being something that he really pressed upon. I haven't gotten the sense that they're being out-physicaled. It's more of an athleticism and speed thing. They had trouble winning the edges, which usually means someone's either getting there or covering it up at a rate that you cannot.
Terrific catch. Despite being stuck, it's Justin Keynes, a junior from La Habra, California.
Yeah, terrific catch, absolutely. But I think the real thing here, it sort of shows what you were just speaking about, where that closing speed was there. I mean, the windows have been so small for URI today. They've been able to find a play here and there, but there's really no air on top of the play. That makes it tough. You really have to walk your way the length of the field as opposed to being able to get big chunks.
Jonathan Thomas, who closed ground so quickly and made the tackle. 3rd and 4. Complete, but well short of the marker, it appears from here. Another catch by Justin Keynes. That'll bring up 4th down.
It's something that we can't know from here. It's just more intimation, I guess. But it looks like he shut that route down a little too flat. You got to have sticks awareness in an environment like that. Again, young player, first game of the season. That's something you'll get coached up and critiqued on. But when you have a certain down and distance, you want to stick the route. Make sure you get to first down depth before you flatten it out. Otherwise, you make a nice catch, nice play, but you still have to punt, unfortunately.
Connor McHugh off the side of his foot this time. Gets a good bounce. Grizzly Esteem says get away from it. And the ball is down at the 30. Wasn't the prettiest punt of his many punts tonight, but effective nonetheless. It looks good in the box score. Syracuse gets the ball back on top 38-0. I'm watching senior captain center Rob Trudeau on the Syracuse sideline taking the tape off of his wrist. I think the first unit is done for the night. He and the rest of the offensive line that did such a marvelous job out of the game. Dungy able to hold on to the football, and now he's just holding on for dear life.
It was like an unintentional Statue of Liberty attempt there. He was spinning the ball around his head, trying to keep things interesting here late in the game. It's not in the playbook. Maybe page 74, maybe.
Almost a little Harlem Globetrotter there going around his head.
Exactly.
And then he paid for it.
Yeah.
But he's done a nice job since replacing the injured Terrell Hunt.
He sure has. But this is what Scott Schaefer is going to be critical of his guys. You still got to coach your guys. You don't want them to get sloppy late. Got a big game again next week, and you got to tune it right back up. So you want to hit the ground running.
So now Syracuse has its second string offensive line in. Still plenty of time for Dungy to complete the pass. It's an 8-yard gain. Cornelius with the catch.
And you see a little bit of move the pocket there. Again, they're just rolling him slightly so that he's got a really simplistic read. If the wide receiver hits it his comeback there deep, he can make a decision or he go to his check down. It's A or B each and every time, and we've seen Dungy show enough athleticism that if A and B aren't there, C is an option for him to run. It's good enough for 5 or 6 yards.
And Cornelius wide left. Dungy didn't fool anybody that time. Taken down by Adam Parker, the junior from Yonkers, New York, who we talked about off the top, who, quote, sniffs it out pretty good. He sniffed that one out very well.
He sure did. He's been active today, and we'd expect him to come in and make some plays, but you get in one of these situations where you're down a little too much. A lot of them are just sort of rallying type stuff. But again, the young man keeps his head up, keeps playing hard, keeps playing tough, sticking his nose in there each and every play. That's extremely admirable.
Riley Dixon, high spiraling punt, and it's going to bounce down inside the 5-yard line and come to a rest. There's another product of the local football program, CBA. Riley Dixon with the punt. Here's a look at the ACC preseason media poll. Syracuse 6th in the Atlantic Division, ahead of only Wake Forest. Clemson favored to win the ACC championship. And there are the 3 heavyweights at the top, Clemson, Florida State, and Georgia Tech. But don't sleep on Louisville. Virginia Tech will open with a big test on Monday against Ohio State. A lot of talent there.
Yeah, and usually these things are driven by one of two things: returning quarterbacks or returning starters. It's a pretty simple calculation. One thing get rolling. Nobody knows. We got a negative play here. Very near safety. Nice little swim move there. Love to see that by the defensive tackle, using the offensive lineman's momentum against them. Let him fire out at you. Just give him a low light, get in the backfield, show that you big guys got some athleticism too.
Anthony Giudice with the hit, very nearly came up with 2 points. The ball at the 1-yard line. Mirage has it deflected again. No, he didn't release.
He caught his own pass.
Did that go back to him?
It went back to him, and then he completed the pass.
So he completed 2 passes on the same play.
It was tipped. The ball's batted back to him here, I believe, by the defensive end. Does a great job. Same hand, or same throwing arm, same hand. Bounces back to Mirage. He gets it, still gets it away.
So does he get 2 completions? Does he get a reception and a completion on that play?
I don't know. not sure exactly how that works.
During the previous play, there was an unusual event in that we had 2 forward passes, both from the end zone. That's an illegal forward pass in the end zone. It's a safety.
There you go. There's the explanation.
Maybe correct use of the word unusual there. You got it right.
I'll just add it to the list of unusual events tonight for Rhode Island.
We have seen them. But you know, all instinct's going to tell you, hey, the ball got batted at me. I should catch that thing, no? But that's not the way the rule works.
Well, Amir Ely, one of the true freshman defensive ends who Syracuse is excited about, is the one who deflected the pass initially.
And it's a really nice just technique play. I mean, you're told as a rusher to go same arm, or same hand, same arm. And so the quarterback's a right-handed quarterback. You put your left hand up and you mirror the quarterback's throwing motion. That was perfect. You got to time it. J.J. Watt of the Houston Texans is exceptional at that. One of the best out there. Keeping his hands low, rushing to the last instant, and then always mirroring the throwing arm. It's a really good lesson that any young player can learn. Sometimes jumping around the block and trying to get the sack isn't the best thing you can do when it looks like there's nothing left. They can play that way.
Have you been watching Hard Knocks?
I have a little bit because I've got, that's New England South right now. We've got Billy O'Brien down there, and Romeo Crennel, my old coach, and Mike Vrabel, obviously the linebacker, great outside linebacker in the NFL, and
former Syracuse head coach Paul Pasqualoni, the defensive line coach for the Texans.
down there as well. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a loaded room. Obviously both quarterbacks in that competition. Hoyer and Mallett were Patriots as well at one time, so there's a lot of familiar blood down there in Texas.
Well, you can see why the Texans might want to tap into that pipeline with the success they've had at New England if they can even come close to replicating that down there.
Sure enough. And I left the biggest of them all off, Vince Wilfork, former Patriot out there doing good things.
And did you see him this week come out in his cowboy boots?
Oh, absolutely.
And the coveralls and nothing else?
Like Jordan coveralls, too. It was awesome, though. But you know what? You rely upon your leaders like Vince, a guy that ran the locker room in New England for a decade, to keep things light. At some point, it gets a little old. He comes out, he keeps things kind of loose in a pregame walkthrough, and you benefit from those things because he's a guy that as soon as that's over, the laps are done. He's the hardest worker out there. So great leader is that Vince Wilfork.
Yeah, Vince Wilfork played for the University of Miami against Syracuse back when they were Big East rivals.
Absolutely.
Talk about talent. Those Miami teams that he was on, forget about it.
Yeah, Jonathan Vilma was another teammate of mine, Jeremy Shockey, all those guys playing together at that same time.
All right, so new quarterback for Syracuse. It's Austin Wilson, a sophomore from Camp Hill, Pennsylvania, who made 2 starts last year, appeared in 5 games. But I would say, based on the way Eric Dungy has played here tonight, from the middle of the first quarter when he replaced the injured Hunt to now when he's taken out, if Hunt isn't able to play next week against Wake Forest, I got to figure it's Dungy's job.
You would think that. I mean, we certainly don't know the frame of mind of Coach Schaefer going to the game. He may have had my backup is really a 1A, 1B, or 1B, 1C, whatever you want to call it. But Dungy did himself enough that I would imagine he earned himself a start at least a week from now.
Wilson last year in his 5 games played 28 of 50 for 253 yards. On second down, it's Jacob Hill again.
Ball carried by number 34, Jacob Hill.
Hill's a 5'6" true freshman from Detroit, Michigan, out of Country Day High School, getting an opportunity here late in the third quarter.
5'6" is hard to find amongst the monsters there in the box, and when you've got an explosive player that can wait and pop through that hole, they're tough to find.
I got a name for you, Matt. The all-time leading rusher in Syracuse history. We talked about all the 44s and Zonk and the others. The all-time leading rusher is a guy not much taller than the man running the football right now, Joe Morris.
Joe Morris, absolutely, yeah.
Went on to win a Super Bowl with the New York Giants. Tough to find the shorter guy.
Sure is.
Stopped 2 yards shy of a first down, and so the punt unit comes back out for the Orange.
Another little trick those short guys like to do is to the edge players is they hide behind those tackles and they get you with those chip blocks. They like to basically, God made them right about your third rib. So they're really easy to slide under there if you don't find them kind of hiding out.
I'm telling you, if I didn't know you had played defense, it wouldn't take long to figure it out. Very clear that you watch the game from a linebacker's point of view. We'll take a break as the third quarter comes to a close. All orange here at the Dome on opening night in Syracuse. An announced crowd of 30,112 has thinned considerably, but we are still here. Gladly to be here for you. You can guess which one of us is the former NFL linebacker. That's Matt Chatham.
That's
Doug Sherman.
Yeah. The camera adds 20 or is it 10? What's the saying? It's gained a few pounds there. I don't know, looking a little thick. I mean, this is motivation to go.
I think you could still go out there and hit somebody.
One play.
Well, let's start this fourth quarter with a little trivia for you, Matt.
Let's do it.
As the punt comes down and is caught at the 24. Name me another way you can score that Syracuse has not so far tonight. They've scored a rushing touchdown, 2 passing touchdowns, an interception return for a touchdown, a field goal, a safety, and a punt return for a touchdown. So what we've got left is what? Maybe a kickoff return for a touchdown.
You could block an extra point and return. No, excuse me, a block. Well, that's a field goal. So return field goal. I don't know if we're counting that a different way of scoring.
Of course, we've got the PATs as well, so that's another way to score that they've done.
2-point play. I don't think we've seen a 2-point play.
That's true. On offense, a 2-point conversion.
You can call the conference the next week and get another play reversed and put points back on. I'm joking, but really.
Syracuse
we're trying to get creative here at some point. Find points.
They've done a little bit of everything tonight. Have the orange, and it's not been all positive though for Syracuse. They struggled out of the gate and then lost their quarterback to injury, a lower body injury. We saw it was somewhere around the right foot or ankle for Terrell Hunt, and he has not returned. He was helped off the field and then walked off with crutches. And then we also learned, coming out of the halftime locker room, that Irv Phillips suffered a lower body injury as well, and so the sophomore hybrid was done for the day. We have no idea the extent of either of those injuries.
One of the things that's been apparent, and remember, we're trying to replace the Orangemen 8 defenders. You notice the length that they have on the back end. Closing speed we talked about earlier from the cornerback position. We've seen safeties close, and the depth that these linebackers get. They have some nice length. It's not always height and weight and things like that. Long arm guys that cover space really well.
Mirage can't complete it. Unable to pull it in was Justin Keynes.
This is one of those situations where obviously the coaching staff is getting to know, Jim Fleming is getting to know Mirage and getting to see what he can do, what he does well, what he doesn't do well, what he needs to work on a week from now. But when he puts a ball on spot and you drop it, it's difficult. Again, that's going to go down as an incomplete pass for the quarterback, but it was executed pretty well from his end.
They have a total of 2 first downs tonight and 49 total yards. Jacob Hill, the return man for Syracuse, allows it to be downed by URI. And Syracuse gets it back just over a minute into the fourth quarter, all orange, on opening night at the Carrier Dome. Scott Schaefer's team has truly controlled the line of scrimmage going both ways tonight. On offense, Syracuse has run the football for 201 yards. Incomplete pass. Meanwhile, Rhode Island has gained 0 yards on the ground.
Well, these are the moments where coaches, they become more interested in their team. Not more so than they already would be, but just simply real keenly aware of how they react. We all understand this is an ugly game. They understand their guys are a little overmatched and haven't played well, but you really want to know how they respond. You don't want to see guys fold. You want to see guys that have that fight in them. Maybe the other guy's a little better than me, but I want to fight. I'm out here to play football. I put pads on and a helmet too.
And off to Hill. Finds a seam and then gets upended. Drawing some oohs and ahs from the crowd, but he pops back up after a nice game. That'll bring up 3rd down and 3 for Syracuse. Jamal Custis into the game wide right. They keep it on the ground. 1st down. Another big gain.
One of the things you'll notice here with the Syracuse offense is that they're winning on the edge. We talk about that. You like tight ends and offensive tackles. They're really blocking well with the wide receiver position today. A lot of big guys out on the edge where they've got a size mismatch with some of those smaller URI cornerbacks, but they're doing a great job from just an effort standpoint of staying latched on out on the edge, which is providing for some of these big run plays.
That was a 17-yard gain. Nice spin, still on his feet. And still going inside the 25, and another Syracuse 1st down. How about Jacob Hill?
Well, that's the 0 button. Madden, what in the world was that? That's a great move. That's one of those moves that you do in your backyard. You say, you never get away with that in real ball. We just did. That was pretty incredible. Reminds you a little bit of almost Dante Hall. You remember that name from years ago, Doug? The old returner, wide receiver, back, whatever you want to call him, from the Kansas City Chiefs. They call him a joystick, human joystick. You do those kind of things. You say, what in the world are you doing, buddy? That was a great little run there.
And here he goes again. This time wrapped up. Selwyn Nicholas on the tackle.
To the 21-yard line, 2nd down and 8.
Jacob Hill was not one of the true freshmen identified on the conference call by Scott Schaefer as one of the guys he would have liked to see in the ballgame. They've done so well, they've been able to go even further down the depth chart to get guys playing experience. Now in the jet sweep. Dante Strickland turns the corner, cuts it back, touchdown Syracuse.
Really the great thing in this game, obviously a great run here by Strickland, but an excellent job of cutting down to the edge with a wide receiver. Pulling back comes, wide receiver on the edge here, just blocking this guy. Then almost takes him out of bounds. Strickland does what's available to him, takes the space, explodes through the hole. But the effort on the outside, that's the kind of stuff that gets coaches really lubed up. They love to see their guys continuing to give effort and the secondary in the 4th quarter that provides for these big plays.
Dante Strickland has been handed the football twice. He has run for 21 yards both times, 2nd time for a touchdown, and the Syracuse lead continues to grow. We'll take a break from the Carrier Dome where the Orange lead the Rams 47-0. Dante Strickland's 21-yard touchdown run has made the score 47-0 Syracuse. His 1st touchdown as an Orange. A lot of firsts in this opening night in the Carrier Dome. It's been all Syracuse right from the start. 6 plays, 55 yards on that scoring drive. Had a nice job by the 3rd-string Syracuse quarterback, Austin Wilson, just to manage what's going on out there. He's not going to be throwing the football under these circumstances, but just put the ball in the right place. Yeah,
he did a nice job, and the offensive line did a nice job to create those holes. Strickland did a great job of running through what was given and then breaking some tackles, but the blocking for Syracuse has been a real surprising up point here in this game.
That kick was out of bounds, drawing the flag. The starting offensive line for Syracuse, we mentioned Rob Trudeau.
Free kick out of bounds. The ball will be placed at the 35-yard line. 1st down.
Trudeau is the senior captain from Farrell, Pennsylvania, the rock of the offensive line, and he's got Nick Robinson to his left at left guard, Ivan Foy, the left tackle, Omari Palmer is the right tackle, and those guys all have experience. There's 3 seniors and a junior. Now their new starter is a guy named Seamus Shanley. He's a senior from right here in Syracuse out of West Genesee High School. A walk-on who's barely been on the field for a handful of snaps in his first 4 years. He's done so well getting the offense down, doing his job in this training camp, doing so well. He started tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Biggest surprise of camp this
Biggest
year.
surprise of camp, and you mentioned that Terrell Hunt received the largest ovation when introduced. I would say that Seamus Shanley got number 2.
really cool story here on campus, and obviously the students were well aware. As soon as his name was called, you're right, that ovation came.
Good job all around by the offensive line to make sure the skill position players have had time to do their thing. 2nd and 7 for Rhode. Mirage completes the pass to Denny. Turns the corner at the 40 into Syracuse territory, but a flag comes from the secondary. What would be just the 3rd first down of the night for Rhode Island is coming back.
Holding, 86 for the offense. 10 yards from the spot of the foul. Remains 2nd down.
Marvin Bove, the guilty party. Redshirt freshman wide receiver from Cranston, Rhode Island. Well, if you're Jim Fleming, how far down your depth chart do you go, or do you keep your first teamers out there to gain more experience?
I think you stick with your first guys. I mean, they need work, clearly. I mean, and again, there's the talent deficit, but you still have games, and you want to get these guys to experience themselves.
Harold Cooper eludes the first tackler, and he's brought down at the 40.
You really can't, you can't buy this kind of exposure to these kind of athletes. You're only going to get a couple times on the CAA schedule. I think the more exposure, you overwhelm them a little bit. That's okay, but sometimes these things pay off when all of a sudden you're standing across an equal athlete, and you're able to execute a little bit better. So you can learn from situations. I've been on the wrong end of games like these playing at the small schools, and it's something that you can really cash in on then later in the year. You're probably not going to see a guy like that the rest of the season in your conference. So just continue to fight, try to get something out of it, and try to learn.
3rd down and 5. Mirage fires high and out of the reach of his intended receiver, Fadre White, and so 4th down and 5. Well, from here, Rhode Island will play its CAA opener next Saturday, also in upstate New York in Albany, against the Great Danes. And so in terms of level of competition, they'll have an opportunity to perhaps do more things at Bob Ford Field next Saturday.
Well, I've been in a situation where you have that as your game tape that you're now going to review. It's especially difficult on Albany to figure out what to make of this team, because it's such a different comparable to what you're going to be able to provide. So it's almost a game you throw out and you just sort of self-scout and rely upon yourselves.
Meanwhile, Albany will play its season opener tomorrow out at Buffalo. First time for that program. They've played against an FCS program, rather an FBS program. As we talk upstate New York college football, we'll take a break here at the Carrier Dome, all orange. Well, at 47-0 with 9:20 on the clock, it's down to pretty much family and friends in the stands now. Another big event going on this weekend and for the last couple of weeks is the New York State Fair, which is going on just a few miles from here, just west of downtown Syracuse. And so I know the football program has tried to schedule around it over the years, but it's really hard because it's so popular here in central New York and upstate New York. It draws so many people to the concerts, and I think you've got friends and family there perhaps as well.
It drew my wife and my 2 kids, my 7- and 3-year-old, because there was an option to come listen or watch Daddy, and we get enough of that. We'll go to the fair instead. I mean, that's basically your 2 choices. We know which way they're going to go.
Austin Wilson, the 3rd-string quarterback for Syracuse, hands the football off, and still churning his feet was Jacob Hill, who's done very nicely here in the 4th quarter as the return man and as the primary running back.
Did a game last year early in the season with Boston College. Obviously a similar type program as what Syracuse is here. Building themselves around the run game, had some athleticism to the quarterback to bring another element, and had one of these early games, I believe against Maine, where it was sort of blah, but they got to go deep into sort of their cabinet of backs, and all those backs, being able to use them throughout the season became sort of an asset. So this is good work for the Orange.
There he goes again, another first down. Stepped out of bounds as he tried to spin away, but it's another good run for Jacob Hill and another first down for the freshman from Detroit. Well, the true freshman running backs have been terrific for Syracuse. Tyrone Perkins, Dante Strickland, Jordan Fredericks have all done very, very well. Now add Jacob Hill to the list. 6 carries for 50 yards.
Well, for these backs, there's something you cannot simulate in practice. It's getting tackled and going to the ground. I mean, this is mat work. They get to get down and get hit, much like you would in a thud practice, but also fall in moments of chaos. Just get better at your craft. That's a good thing.
Stacked up for a loss that time. Individually, Jordan Fredericks has rushed for 82 yards on 11 carries to lead everybody. George Morris got the start. 12 carries, 71 yards. As a team, Syracuse averaging 6 yards per carry. So Scott Schaefer will enjoy this one until about what, 11 o'clock tonight?
His mind may have already wandered. No, I won't say that. But you know, coaches are always thinking ahead. They're really critiquing their own guys, trying to figure out what they've got. This is the first time he's had for a live evaluation of his personnel. I'm sure he came to the game with questions himself.
Nice job to secure the football by Jacob Hill. He goes down after a gain of 2.
You get to see them do some nice things. You get to see them test themselves in a live situation, see how they respond to some adversity. And they had some early, obviously, with the turnovers and a couple sloppy things to start their day. The game could have gone another way, but they responded quite well, and that's got to make the coach feel good.
You know, Coach repeatedly said this week in our 2 conversations how much he loves this team. They had a great training camp, including a trip up to Fort Drum, which they've done the last 3 years, and he was stressing about the fact that on his roster he's got 42 kids with a GPA of 3.0 or more last spring. It's the most in the history of the program, as Tyrone Perkins gets taken down.
That's an awesome thing. I mean, that's first and foremost why you're here, but it's those guys with those great off-field GPAs can translate that into great on-field acumen. Those are the best things as well. You love to have smart players on your football team, guys that do the right things, guys that play the game the right way, guys that are really good at situational football, of translating what's been coached to them to the field. Every coach would love to build a program that way.
And one of the other topics we got on that I got a kick out of, listening to him talk about the number 44. We talked about it before and what it means on the football field for Syracuse as Jacob Hill gets tied up on first down. But he talked about how the number 44 means more off the field in terms of the societal message that it brings. I mean, Jim Brown was the first at 44. He didn't win the Heisman Trophy when perhaps he should have. Paul Hornung, back in the 50s, got the vote on a bad Notre Dame team. 5 years later, country's a different place. Ernie Davis able to follow that path that Jim Brown had laid out. And those are messages that Coach Schaefer has passed along to his new players. And I asked him, do you play the Express? You know, the feature film about Ernie Davis, the Elmira Express. Do you play it for your freshmen as they get in? And he said, he laughed and he said no, as it looked like this freshman Hill was down, but he keeps going. Gain of 5. He said, no, it's funny how the kids, as soon as they learn about Syracuse, want to watch the movie. So they watch it on their own, and they all know the story of Ernie Davis and the legend of 44 before they ever get on campus.
Nice run here again by Hill. One of the things we've seen with him is his ability to stop start and to keep his balance and actually use a hand. I mean, you know, again, he's not a tall human being, so the hand's a little closer to the ground than others, but he's done a really nice job of keeping his balance, fighting through tackles, and really just being sort of an irritant for that Rams defense. They're having a hard time getting this guy to the ground, even with gang tackling.
Nice cut by Jordan Fredericks, still on his feet inside the 40. First down, Syracuse.
Well, you definitely can notice here that we're talking about a different kind of back when Fredericks comes in for Hill. I mean, nice little back cut. And again, that's in the cutback area. The coach Fleming talked about that they had to win. They have to win in the cutback, have to win on the edges. And again, you see the speed of Fredericks. It's more of a little shake and shimmy in a one cut, and he gets and goes. And it's more straight line speed than Hill, who's been sort of a jitterbug. But they have quality depth here at Syracuse. That's been evident today in that backfield.
Not much room to run that time. Fredericks is getting closer to 100 yards. Actually, he's now at 100 exactly on the 13 carries. So what a debut. Freshman from Inwood, New York. That's on Long Island.
One of the things that can be really valuable for a back in a situation like that is you find that veteran in the locker room. Maybe it's an offensive lineman, maybe it's a wide receiver, whoever has tenure, and take him aside and say, "Hey, buddy, great job, nice job today, but they're not all going to be like this." And you go in and you really hardcore critique yourself to try to find issues when they're not even really there. Where you say, you know what, the hole you ran through here, it's going to be 3 times as narrow next time when you do that against Clemson, and you help make the guy better. You don't let him get. You don't want to impress upon him that it's going to feel like this, it's going to be like this each time he carries the football. Help you get better.
Wilson hands off again. And again it's Hill. Down just short of another Syracuse first down. Well, Syracuse's defensive coordinator Chuck Bully used a phrase and expression this week that I wasn't familiar with, and I wanted to run it past you. He talked about the fog of war. As it relates to the freshmen, that you can only replicate so much until you get out there, and it seems to me that by and large this true freshman class that Syracuse has run out there has done very well in that fog of war.
It's a decent analogy, or at least metaphor, in that you don't remember much from those freshman seasons or rookie seasons. You'll remember some of the highlights, but you'll go back and watch the tape of yourself as you grow and get older and learn the techniques better, and you think, what the world was I doing? Like, you're just running. It's recess. I mean, you know 5 things, and by the time you graduate, you know 50. So it's fun to watch yourself and know how little you knew at that time and how you just ran out and played, and those are fun. That is that fog of war. For me, I don't even remember college. It's more that rookie football season. You'll go back and watch preseason games in the NFL and go, wow, what I didn't know on that day.
First and 10 from the 28-yard line.
That was a first down, so Syracuse keeps the football and keeps it on the ground to Jacob Hill. So again from here, Syracuse will open up ACC play next weekend, a Saturday game against Wake Forest, when again after the first quarter they will honor on the field former Orangeman head coach Dick McPherson. And Syracuse has done what it hoped to do here tonight, take care of business against a CAA opponent.
You don't like to talk about injuries, obviously, because they happen. You want you guys out there playing hard and doing the right thing and executing the plays that are called by Coach Schaefer. But it really is the onus here to get out without any more major injuries. You want to stay up. You want to play fair. You want to play hard and play fast, and that's a good way to avoid injuries. But you don't want to see them when they get nicked up as they finish this game off.
So while Coach Schaefer will have to reassess after having lost his starting quarterback and his starting hybrid to injury tonight, he's got to be pleased with the outcome overall. 47-0 after a rough start. The Orange got it together and now 14-0 against FCS opponents. And their last shutout of any kind came against Wake Forest back on November 2nd, 13-0. So 1-0 for the Orange on opening night.
It's safe to say that this could have gone another way. You could have got some sloppy play out of them, but Coach Schaefer kept his guys tight, and they played well in the second half, as they did in the first.
We'll take a break, come back and wrap things up from the Carrier Dome, where Syracuse wins at 47-0 over Rhode Island.